Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I will be reading from a popular subreddit. So let's jump into it. My golden child sister cried about needing a proper home for her new promotion. My parents didn't just ask me to share. They brought a realtor to force the sale and threatened to erase me from the family forever. What they discovered when they stormed into that house didn't just shock them. It completely destroyed the power dynamic they'd built for 3 decades. I'm a 32-year-old woman and the middle child. My parents had their first child when they were teenagers, and then again when they were in their early 20s. Both times they were unprepared and unable to care for their children properly. They wanted to give up both times but couldn't because the grandparents stepped in. For various reasons, they never tried to have more children after that. As a result, my sister and I were raised by our grandparents while our parents were off living their lives. We only saw them on major holidays, or if they decided to make an appearance on a random Tuesday. Neither of us knew why we were not loved by our parents. And they made sure that we knew that we were a huge inconvenience to them. As far as they were concerned, we were nothing but burdens to be endured. My sister excelled at school and was on the debate team. She was very pretty and had many friends. Meanwhile, I was painfully shy and had few friends. I always felt invisible. The only time I ever heard my parents say anything nice about me was when I got straight A's on my report card once when I was 12. My mom said I was finally living up to my potential. But then my dad yelled at me for thinking that grades were more important than family. He told me that I would never amount to anything without him. And so I did what any self-respecting 12-year-old would do. I ignored him and kept getting good grades. By the time I graduated high school, my sister and parents had moved to another state and I rarely saw them. We each went our separate ways and that was that. Fast forward to when I am 31, I am still painfully shy and I am still close to my grandparents and my cousin who I practically grew up with. I don't speak to my sister anymore since she blocked me on all forms of social media 2 years ago for no reason. I didn't think this would last long since my parents were well off, and I assumed they would come around eventually. Well, the day came when my parents contacted me out of nowhere. They asked if they could move in with me, and I readily agreed. However, when they arrived, they brought a realtor with them. Turns out they didn't want to move in with me. They wanted to buy my house. They told me that they needed me to sell it to them, and that I could live with them rent-free until I sold it. When I refused, they brought up the idea of me moving in with them several times and basically forced me to agree to sell the house to them. At this point, I was extremely suspicious. Why would they want to buy my house? It was nowhere near their budget, and they had plenty of money in the bank. This was beyond weird. And when I called them out on it, they lost their minds and started yelling at me. That's when they dropped the bombshell. They accused me of trying to hold the family hostage for money and demanded that I sign the papers immediately. I was completely blindsided, and I ended up signing. It took almost a year for everything to be finalized, but the day I signed the papers was the day they became my real parents. The day I realized that they hadn't changed at all. They were still the same selfish people who had no problem throwing their weight around. The day they moved into my house was the day that I stopped eating at McDonald's and joined the gym. In fact, they found the key to my bedroom in a hidden location. I decided to keep it there so I wouldn't have to hear them yell at me for shutting them out. Then they got mad at me for keeping the spare key. In addition to buying my house, they also bought my car. They gifted my car to my sister without telling me. When I confronted them, they said that I should be grateful that they even allowed me to keep my stuff. But here's where things get interesting. After they stole my house and my car, they turned around and forced my sister to move in with us. Apparently, she got a promotion at work and needed a place to stay during the week, so she wouldn't have to commute. By this point, my parents were officially evil. For the next 2 months, they tried to force me to give up my room for my sister. I refused. They demanded that I go back on my word, since this was all for my sister's future. I told them that I wasn't giving up my room. that I would be happy to have my sister move in with us if they wanted her to. But they needed to stop treating me like a doormat. After my parents realized that I wasn't going to give up my room, they stopped asking and started forcing. The morning that they broke down my door and took all of my stuff without asking me was the day that I had enough. I packed a bag and left. I haven't spoken to my parents or my sister in over a month. I've been staying with a friend, and I'm looking for a new place. They took everything I owned, including my bed. They even took the pictures off the walls. AITA for going no contact with my parents and sister after they did this. Am I the asshole for deciding that my parents and sister are no longer welcome in my life?